Good morning and a very warm welcome. You're watching the Breakfast Rundown on TV1. I'm Therunee Karunaratne. We're coming to you live and direct from our Newsfirst studios here in Colombo. Well, over the past week or so, Sri Lanka has been experiencing extremely heavy showers. Hundreds of thousands of people have been affected, quite a few unfortunate fatalities were reported, and many houses were either completely or partially damaged. Well, as far as weather is concerned this morning, we have a positive development coming up for you. For that positive update, let's move on to our top story for this morning, which is the weather forecast for the day. The deep depression over the southwest Bay of Bengal was located about 240 kilometers northeast of Trincomalee and 290 kilometers east of Kankasanthore at about 11:30 p.m. yesterday. It is likely to move northwestwards towards the Tamil Nadu coast of India. It can be expected that the influence of this system on the island's weather will gradually reduce after today. Showers or thunder showers will occur at times in the northern and north-central provinces and in the Trincomalee district. Heavy showers above 100 millimeters are likely at some places in the northern province of Sri Lanka. Showers will occur at times in the western, Sabaragamuwa and northwestern provinces and in the Galle, Mathura, Matale and Kandy districts. Showers or thunder showers will occur at several places elsewhere over the island during the evening or night. Strong winds of about 60 kilometers per hour can be expected at times over the northern, north-central, northwestern, eastern, central and southern provinces of the country. And as always, the general public is requested to take adequate precautions to minimize damages caused by temporary localized strong winds and lightning during these thunder showers. Well, let's take a look at your marine weather update for this morning. Naval and fishing communities are warned not to venture to the deep and shallow sea areas extending from Puttlam to Pothubil via Kankasanthore and Trincomalee until further notice, and be vigilant on this regard in the other sea areas around the island of Sri Lanka. Showers or thunder showers will occur at times in the sea areas around the island. The Met Department says that winds will be northwesterly to westerly into the sea areas around the island. Wind speed will be 40 to 50 kilometers per hour in the sea areas around the island. Wind speed can increase up to 60 to 70 kilometers per hour at times in the sea areas extending from Puttlam to Batticaloa via Kankasanthore and Trincomalee. As for the state of the sea area extending from Puttlam to Batticaloa via Kankasanthore and Trincomalee will be rough to very rough at certain times. Other sea areas around the island will be fairly rough at times. The swell waves, about 2.5 to 3 meters in height, may increase in the sea areas off the coast extending from Batticaloa to Kankasanthore via Trincomalee. There is a possibility that near-shore areas off the coast extending from Batticaloa to Kankasanthore via Trincomalee may experience surges due to these swell waves. Temporarily strong gusty winds and very rough seas can be expected during thunder showers. Meanwhile, two teams led by cabinet ministers have been appointed to oversee the relief programs covering the northern and eastern provinces of Sri Lanka, which were the hardest hit districts in the country by the floods. Now, these teams were appointed under the directives of President Anura Kumara Dissanayake. Yesterday, the teams monitored the ongoing relief activities in the respective provinces. Minister of Rural Development, Social Security and Community Empowerment, Professor Upali Pannilage, who leads the team assigned for the eastern province of Sri Lanka, stated that the necessary measures are being taken to swiftly restore normalcy in the lives of the residents of these provinces. Meanwhile, over 130 irrigation tanks under the Department of Agrarian Development have been damaged due to the heavy rainfall experienced by the country. Agrarian Development Commissioner General Rohana Rajapaksa says that the highest number of damaged tanks is reported from the Vaunia district of Sri Lanka. Well, yesterday, a decision was made to reschedule the dates of the GCE advanced level examination subjects that were originally scheduled until the 3rd of December, with exams resuming on the 4th of December as originally scheduled. Commissioner General of Examinations Amit Jayasundara says that the examination scheduled for the 27th of November will be held on the 21st of December now. Examination scheduled for the 28th of November will take place on the 23rd of December. Examinations planned for the 29th of December will now be held on the 27th of December 2024. Examination scheduled for the 30th of November will now take place on the 28th of December. Examinations originally set for the 2nd of December will now be held on the 30th of December. Examination scheduled for the 3rd of December will now take place, meanwhile, on the 31st of December 2024. Well, he also announced that the Sri Lanka Law School Entrance Examination 2024 and the first qualifying examination 2016-24 for senior statisticians and statisticians at the Department for Registration of Persons and Statistics will not be held on these revised dates. Candidates for these exams will be notified of the new dates in the near future. The Ministry of Public Administration, Provincial Councils and Local Government has announced that a discussion will be held next week to decide the next steps regarding the nominations for the upcoming Provincial Council elections. Minister Professor Chandana Aberatne stated that the discussion, chaired by the Leader of the House, Minister Bimal Ratnayaka, is expected to involve leaders of political parties represented within the Parliament of Sri Lanka. He further mentioned that the decisions made during this discussion will form the basis for reaching a final agreement on the nomination for the upcoming Provincial Council elections of Sri Lanka. Now, the nominations for these elections were initially accepted in March 2023. Now, although the Election Commission had prepared to hold these elections, they were postponed due to a lack of financial allocations from the Treasury of Sri Lanka. In the recent times, various factions, including political parties, have called for the annulment of these previously submitted nominations. On to more local news now. The Ministry of Health has announced that arrangements have been made to bring the insulin type currently in shortage to the country within the next 4 days. Deputy Director General of the Medical Supplies Division, Dr. G. Vijay Surya, stated that the shortage arose due to a delay in the supplier's registration process. He further noted that this issue has now been resolved. Dr. Vijay Surya explained that the instructions have been given to airlift the first batch of required medication named insulin mixtard to the country. Until then, the hospitals have been instructed to manage the available limited stocks efficiently. The Ministry of Health also highlighted that 3 types of insulin are used within Sri Lanka's hospital system. Shifting your attention to news overseas for this morning, the first international story that we're bringing to you is tragic news coming in from Uganda. At least 113 people are missing and at least 15 people are known to have died after a landslide in eastern Uganda. The landslides, triggered by heavy rainfall, affected multiple villages in the Bulambuli district, about 280 kilometers from the country's capital, Kampala. The Ugandan Red Cross Society said on X that a rescue operation is underway after at least 40 houses were swept away by these landslides. The Ugandan police, meanwhile, said that as well as the 15 bodies, another 15 injured people have been rescued and admitted to hospital. The Ugandan Red Cross Society reported that at least 6 of the bodies recovered have been those of children. Heavy rainfall has inundated the East African country for the past few days. Rivers have burst their banks, flooding schools and churches, destroying bridges, as well as isolating certain communities within the country. The military has been deployed to assist with search and recovery efforts. Well, this is not the first time that eastern Uganda has been hit by floods and landslides. In the year 2010, a landslide in Bududa killed at least 300 people. This was one of the most devastating natural disasters reported in the country of Uganda. The region is mountainous with arable land which is good for farming. One of the reasons people are reluctant to move away from the region alongside their attachment to their ancestral lands, of course. Well, according to the International Federation of Red Cross and Red Crescent Societies, this year alone, the heavy rainfall, flooding and landslides have forced thousands of people to evacuate their homes. Our second international news for this morning comes in from Russia. Russian President Vladimir Putin has threatened to attack decision-making centers in the Ukrainian capital of Kyiv with the country's new ballistic missile named Oreshnik. Putin was speaking hours after Russia launched a strike on Ukraine's energy grid overnight in what he called a response to continued attacks using US-supplied ATACMS missiles on the Russian soil. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky warned that any quote-unquote Russian blackmail would be met with a tough response from their end. Ukraine used ATACMS and UK-supplied Storm Shadow missiles to strike inside Russian territory last week for the first time since the full-scale invasion in February 2022, following the approval by the Western suppliers, the US, the UK, as well as France. The overnight Russian strike unfolded over several hours with waves of drones and missiles flying over the length and breadth of Ukraine, the second attack of its kind for this month of November 2024. Well, there were no fatalities, but it left more than 1 million people in Ukraine without power. Zelensky said cluster munitions had been used against civilian as well as energy infrastructure. Let's now move on to a sports news item this morning. In sport, it's tennis. World number 2 and 5-time Grand Slam champion Iga Swiatek has accepted a 1-month suspension after testing positive for a banned substance. The 23-year-old reigning French Open champion tested positive for a heart medication, trimetazidine, also known as TMZ, in out of competition a sample in August 2024. When she was world number 1. The International Tennis Integrity Agency, or ITIA, accepted that it was caused by contamination of the regulated non-prescription medication melatonin manufactured and sold in Poland, which Swiatek took for jet lag and sleep issues. Swiatek's level of fault was therefore considered to be at the lowest end of the range for no significant fault or negligence. Well, that brings to a close this morning's edition of the Breakfast Rundown with me, Therunee Karunaratne. Today's Friday. Of course, tomorrow will be marking the start of a weekend. So I'll see you once again on Monday right here on TV1 at 7 a.m. Until then, take care. Have a wonderful weekend ahead.